So, you might have heard the joke that when bankers get together after work, they talk about art. But when artists get together after work on a Friday, they talk about money. That's not entirely true. In fact, most artists I know are allergic to talking about money. But I often get asked the question, how do I price my artwork, especially from beginning artists? I'm going to share what I learned over the years. I have a business background as well as being an artist. I wear different hats. In fact, today I'm sitting on the business side of my studio. I also see this as a very complex question. I reached out to a number of artist friends and I got some very different and strong opinions about pricing. And I'm going to share those too. First, I'm going to show you a very practical approach as a very beginning artist, how you can price your artwork. Then I'm going to go into some philosophies that other people have used, and I'll give you some idea of what you should be thinking about. I can't give you the exact number or the price that you probably hope to hear from me, a very easy answer, but I will give you an easy way to come up with something for yourself. So you create a piece of artwork. You put your heart and soul, your time, your effort, your passion, and you want to know how to price it. What price actually is a value. It's a value that you believe it's worth, and it hopefully a successful price matches what a customer thinks it's worth. And that's really all it is. So what I suggest people do, the easiest way is to find, it's pricing by walking around. Go to an art show as similar as possible to the one you're going to exhibit at. Something where the same type of people will go, the same type of setting. Find in that show someone who has artwork that's as similar to yours as possible and notice what they're charging. And besides noticing what they're charging, notice what's selling. Sometimes people price things and nothing's selling. Go to an art show. Notice who is selling the most. It's always a few people. And notice what they're charging. And use that as a guide. That is absolutely the easiest way to price your artwork as a beginner. So there's all kinds of models that artists use for pricing. The most common is probably cost and material, which is time and material. Give yourself a fair hourly rate. Keep track of all of your costs, all of your overhead, and use that as a formula to determine what the price would be. And my suggestion there is be fair with your hourly rate. Don't go too high in that one. Another very common method is per square inch. And I know one artist told me she actually makes a chart. So she has two columns, and she determines based on the size of the piece of artwork what the price would be. And in her case, she does it even a little more complicated, where after she has a number, she multiplies it by how much time she spent on the piece. One of the most important things, and I can't stress this enough, is the price should make sense to the customer. There's something called tiered pricing. So the original should be priced higher than the print. If you have different sizes, it just makes sense to the customer. If the smaller pieces are priced lower than the larger pieces. And I've had at least one artist tell me that's completely wrong. He prices his artwork based on how much meaning it has to him, how important it is in his career. Was this a transitionary piece where he just created some new breakthroughs? And I'd say that's fair. I would use it more cautiously as a beginning artist, but you could price things any way you want as long as you justify it with a story. If the customer understands the price, if it makes sense, that's all that really matters. And another method that many artists use is just an intuitive method. They point to a painting and they go, oh, that should be about this, X amount of dollars. And that's how they do the pricing. And you could develop that intuition of pricing really by walking around, by seeing what other people charge, by getting a feel for what your artwork is worth, by having shows. And over time, you could develop an intuitive method of pricing. So psychology and strategy are two very big topics that should be considered. And just touching on it, when you have a painting and it's subjective and people don't know what it's worth, if they see a price attached to it, it gives them a sense of the value. It cues them to the value. So that could play into how you price your work, in the sense that also if you price things higher, you probably end up selling less. If you price things lower, you'll be selling more at a lower perceived value. The other thing about pricing is that people tend to view round numbers as being more value oriented, and they see numbers with like that end in 99 and 95 to be more sale type items and impulse items. So depending on your strategy, you might want to use that accordingly. So all of our artwork is priceless to us. What we need to do is find out what the marketplace values it at. We need to separate ourselves from our product, and sometimes that's difficult for some of us. As you see, there's many different models for pricing our artwork, and find the one that works best for you. See it as part of your creative journey and experiment as you go along. And in the meantime, make sure you cover your costs and that you make sure it makes sense and consistent. Those are really the most important things, that the prices make sense and are consistent to the buyer. Good luck, and I hope this helps.